Hi everyone, time to talk about the Midnight Legion, Operation Deep Sleep, and the start of the series in general. Now, there is a playthrough that I've put up, and that is going to have spoilers in it because this is a very story-based game, and there are also puzzles and clues and things in there, so anything could be a spoiler really. So if you don't mind that, then you can click the link to have a look at a sample thing. I don't play for very long, it's just a quick sample of what it is, like the basic mechanics of it, but I will explain them here if you would like the spoiler-free version. But this is basically, it's an evolution of a choose-your-own-adventure. It's got more going on than just read the chapter and go to the next passage. There's some dice rolling, there's a lot of story elements to it, there's puzzles, there's all sorts of things going on. So, we wake up, basically, the story is we wake up on a spaceship. All we know is that we are some kind of agent that has been in stasis for so many years, and that's it. We don't remember who else we are, what our mission was, why we're here, and our job in the story is to find out what the mission is. That's not a spoiler, by the way, that's all on the kind of synopsis of the game. And if I just show you the box again, it plays 1 to 2 players, more on the 2-player part later, because it's mainly a solo experience, but there is support for 2. And 30 minutes, it depends on how well you do, really. If you want to, like I have, I had a good run where I was playing for a lot longer than an hour. But it depends how long you last and how long you want to keep going for, I suppose. So, what's in the box? We have the rulebook and memory book, and this is going to tell you in-depth how to play, all the elements of your character sheet, and also in the story, we don't remember anything about who we are. We are trying to find memories, and at certain points in the game, we will be told to look up memories in this book, and we track all of it on our character sheet. I don't have a blank one to hand, but there's one in the book, handily, that I've just remembered. So we're going to have a character sheet like this, that we will create our character. We will give him certain statistics on physical power, stealth, and sixth sense, and they're basically going to be, do you want to fight? Do you want to hide away in secret? Or would you like to have more information on the choices you'll be given? You can make sixth sense checks to kind of read ahead on some passages. And I'm talking about checks. That's what we need dice for. The dice come with the game. When you're asked to make a skill check, whether it's for sixth sense or stealth or anything else, you roll 2 dice and you want to roll below your skill number. And if you do that, you've succeeded in the check. You can spend some energy in the game, which is a currency you have, to kind of mitigate the dice rolls. If you really need to pass something, you can spend some points to kind of ensure that you do, although it's never a guarantee. The character sheet also keeps track of the memories we've unlocked in the book and insights, which I'll talk about in a little while. It also tracks our hit points, because we will be taking damage from making silly decisions, but also there will be combat. Well, there doesn't have to be. I suppose it depends how you play it. If you're an expert, sneaky player, maybe you can avoid combat at all costs, but I certainly haven't played that way yet. So combat works by adding your physical conditioning, which is one of your statistics, as in skill checks. You take your physical conditioning, you roll 2 dice, add the result of them, add any bonuses from weapons. You can, again, spend energy to mitigate the dice roll and kind of ensure that you win. And then the book will have printed the enemy's like conditioning value and the enemy's damage if they hit. You roll 1 dice for the enemy unless it tells you otherwise, and whoever rolled the highest does damage to the other person. So if you rolled higher, you would do damage equal to the weapon you're using. If the enemy won, then it would tell you in the book how much damage they do. And it's overall quite a simple system for combat. Now, I used to love choose-your-own-adventure games when I was younger. I'm sure they've still been going on in my absence, but this, as a reintroduction, Midnight Legion has surprised me how much is going on in it. I don't remember much more than reading a passage and turning to a page, but there is a lot more going on in this. First, the premise. So, there's not spoilers. I've told you about, we're on this spaceship and things. The story really lends itself to the theme, the exploration and the discovery of a choose-your-own-adventure game, because we don't know who we are in the story and we're desperately trying to find out. When all these things are introduced to us and memories come flooding back, it really feels like you're part of something. It really feels like you're learning along with your character, which you are really, because your character doesn't know anything that's going on. And the memories that you can unlock can range from pretty minor things about you have these choices. Maybe here's an option to unlock a memory, and your past self might have some information about what's down that corridor, for example, something like that. But they can range from that to really pivotal plot points that your character might suddenly remember because you've made a certain choice somewhere along the line. And I mentioned the insights on your character sheet. These are really cool and allow the story to branch a lot more than it might normally be able to. So when you've made a choice, for example, and this isn't a real example from it, say you picked a lock to a door, it might say after you successfully picked the lock, circle insight B. And then when you come to that door in the future, it would say something like, if you have insight B, turn to this page straight away, and you would avoid the whole thing of this door is locked, do you want to try and pick the lock? It would take you straight to the unlocked door. And there are more intricate ways that the insights are used, but that's just a basic example of how they work in the game. They're really good for allowing you to make these decisions and having your decisions kind of last throughout the game, and things do come back at you. I've got to be very vague to avoid spoilers, but choices I have made quite early on in the game have affected things later on that I've been really surprised by. The character differences are quite nice. With the stealth and the physical conditioning, you can play all guns blazing, you can try and sneak around, you can try and do some combination of both, although you obviously won't be as good at either if you try and split your points entirely. And Sixth Sense is nice because it will let you look at other passages. If you pass that Sixth Sense check, you can kind of read ahead, and I've noticed a lot of situations where I was just about to do something very silly, but Sixth Sense has pulled me out of some sticky situations. But it does cost you energy to do that, and it's a dice roll that's not guaranteed. You could just be spending energy for nothing to do that. Sixth Sense also comes into play with certain decisions. They will have a Sixth Sense that will take you to a certain passage, so it can be a really useful tool. Another thing to mention is the artwork. It's great to look at, but it also serves the gameplay really well. There can be little clues hidden in there that can sometimes have vital information there relating to the story or to a puzzle that you're about to encounter, and some of these things are quite missable, so you will want to go exploring to find these things to kind of pave your way through the game. The game does support 2 players and gives you that option, but in the 2-player game, one person will be playing a kind of game master where they will have the book, they will read the story, they will read out the options that are available, and they will keep some things hidden, so they won't tell the other player the enemy's combat statistics. They won't say how long a merchant will keep talking to you before he walks away, for example. They will basically just tell the player to do their combat rolls and things, and then they will, in secret, just like a kind of pen and paper kind of thing, a very basic version of it, they will roll the dice for the monsters and work out the damage and things, and they're encouraged to they're encouraged to do some acting in it, to think rather than just saying, oh, you only do 1 damage. You're supposed to say things like, oh, you dent the robot's armor, but you haven't quite caused much damage to it yet. You know, the D&D kind of thing of bringing out the story in it. If the player gets stuck, you're encouraged to help them out a bit. Now, this mode is quite fun, and it gives both players a really good role to get into. But the game is a solo experience at heart, and I think, personally, I preferred it that way. Now, overall, I've really enjoyed Operation Deep Sleep. The gameplay had a lot more going on than I expected. While still being simple to maintain, there's not that much to be thinking about. The skill checks are really easy, the combat's really easy to understand. The story, which is really the main thing in these books, it's great. I think I've uncovered a lot of information in my plays, I've uncovered a lot of memories and things, but there are still huge gaps, and they will come, I'm sure, in the other books in the series, but there are memories I'm missing, there are decisions I could have made that would have given me different insights and maybe given me different options with certain situations that I couldn't have because I didn't make those choices. So there's plenty of times when I was frantically turning the pages as well because something crazy was going on and I was desperate to know what was happening. So because of all the things I'm missing, even after spending quite a few hours on it, you'll need a lot of multiple plays, playing the different styles as well, playing a really strong combat-heavy person, playing a really stealthy person, getting into the places you wouldn't normally be able to get into. You'll need to do these multiple playthroughs to try and get the most out of it, try and get the complete story, which is still eluding me. Even after you've finished, though, it continues. This, as I've mentioned, is the first of a trilogy that will all fit in this lovely box. and it will continue the story on from whatever happens in your story. Then these insights and memories and things, and the equipment you have, maybe things you've done to your character, they will carry on into the other books. And I'm really excited, well, to see the story of the next book and to see how all these things are going to link together. How do these things carry on? The choices that I made in the first book, because even in the first book, these choices have consequences. So I'm really excited to see over 2 and 3 books how these things are all going to work together, and how good a job the series does of remembering what I did and making me, you know, stick with my consequences, live with my choices. So I'm very eager to find out what happens next, and I think that's a really good sign that this was really enjoyable. And it's also very different to anything else that I have. I'm always talking about mainly Euro board games, but this is definitely something, an experience that I feel like I was missing in my collection, and I'm really glad that I've had the chance to play this a few times. And yeah, I really recommend it if you feel like a choose your own adventure plus, is that a good way of putting it, would be something you're interested in. I would definitely check out the Midnight Legion. And thanks, by the way. Should I say this at the front? I really get things mixed up. Thank you very much to Studio 9 Games for sending me this copy to make the video from, so I could tell you guys about it and make these videos. So I think that's everything for the Midnight Legion. It's just about to be shipping now, I think. Like, you can order it from Studio 9's website, and it's going out to stores in America, and presumably this will carry on across the known world. But we'll see for now. It's definitely available from Studio 9's website, at least. And the other volumes are going to be coming soon as well. So that was the Midnight Legion. I hope you enjoyed that. Thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you for the next game. Bye.